Yo, 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 welcome back to the Out the Box Show. I'm John Wallace alongside my co-host James Luffy, and we teased it last week and we got him. We have a very special guest coming on the Out the Box podcast for the third time. Third time. This is the season of recurring guests times three. I'm gonna hold off on the name. I'm gonna let everyone just kind of wonder who is it? Who could it be? Get excited for it. We have a packed show for you guys. It's LSU baseball opening week. We are ready to rock with that. We're going to talk schedule. We're going to do. We were talking to our very special guest before the episode. We're going to do a hodgepodge episode. We're going to talk everything LSU related. You name it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do all that, I want to give a huge shout out to the Boot Crew Media Network. Make sure to check out the Boot Crew Media Network at bootcrewmedia.com and on social media at Boot Crew Media. They are killing it this time of year. Content is running rampant. You got the NFL draft coming up, LSU baseball, NBA in full swing. Shout out Propels Talk. Make sure to follow the Boot Crew Media Network, bootcrewmedia.com, and on social media at Boot Crew Media. Also, if you are looking for a realtor, make sure to call or text Blaine Loop at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. Blaine is the man. Blaine is my own personal realtor, and he wants to help you on your next sale, whether you're buying, selling, finding somewhere to rent, or finding somebody to rent out your investment property. Make sure to call or text Blaine Loop at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on. It's kind of hard to come up with new intros, and for a guy that's done so much in his career. But for the third time, we welcome back on Jacques Doucet to the Out the Box podcast. We were just talking to him before about how busy of a time it's been, and he said that it's overlapping season. All of LSU sports and other sports in general in Louisiana are kind of overlapping. The seasons are changing, and I guess that kind of leads me into my first question, Jacques. You flew to South Carolina to watch the LSU women's basketball team play. You got LSU baseball starting this Friday night. LSU basketball's been playing as well. Everything's kind of overlapping. Do you find it hard to, I guess, switch back and forth between sports, and it's got to be exhausting, right?
Well, it still is the best job in the world, and I enjoy it. It's exciting. But I kind of we work as a team at WAFB. And Kevin Baptiste, he focuses a lot on the LSU men right now. Sorry about that, Kevin. It's been a rough year with the LSU men's program. I do a lot of LSU women's basketball, and I'll be doing the LSU baseball stuff. I just sent my credential request to Round Rock, Texas, in the Austin area. LSU's going there next week to play a series of games before they play Texas in a midweek game on Tuesday. Jay Johnson and company. But yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Our sports director, Steve Schneider, always does a good job of, marking all the things down on the calendar that we've got to get to. And like you said, we're going to enter the month of March. We'll have March Madness going on. I think the LHSAA calls it Marsh Madness for the high school end of things, where we're spread out across the state trying to cover all our local teams. LSU baseball gets going on Friday night. Beth Torina and LSU softball off to a hot start. LSU gymnastics, I guess, is going to be hitting the stretch run of their season soon. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on, not to mention LSU football and Brian Kelly entering year 2. I guess they're going to start spring ball sometime in March, typically the spring games in April. So yeah, there's a lot happening. There's a lot to cover, but being busy is a lot better than the alternative. Keeps you employed.
Yes, you were right about that. Talking a little bit about basketball. Like I said, we're gonna talk about everything, and while we have you on, but I guess we'll start with the most controversial topic that I'm curious your thoughts on. The whole naming of the PMAC court. Everyone's kind of heard about it, by now. Around LSU and the state of Louisiana in general. I think one of your tweets, and forgive me if I haven't seen your most recent ones or whatnot, but basically whenever the news broke, you described, I guess, the whole situation as whack. Can we, which I agree with. It's kind of mind-boggling how it's all kind of transpired. But I guess, what are your thoughts on the controversy and almost like, what do we have to do to not have things like this happen or get it behind us?
I guess whack is a real dated reference, isn't it?
I like it.
Kinda...
Yeah, I like it. I don't think it's that dated.
No, I don't think so either.
So, Tim Brando, a former WAFB sportscaster, one of the greats at Channel 9, who, of course, went on to CBS and ESPN and now Fox Sports. I think he and some of the guys who played for Dale Brown, I think they put on a aggressive full court press, if you will, to get the court name Dale Brown Court. It failed several times. In the summer of 2021, Brando went to Tiger Stadium in front of, I think it was the Board of Supervisors or someone, and pleaded that, hey, we need to name the court Dale Brown Court. Before that, Dick Vitale on many broadcasts had said, "Oh, it's a shame. I can't believe that court's not named after Dale Brown." And so that kind of got the momentum going. And then in front of the Board of Supervisors in I think it was September the 10th or something like that. It was voted 12-3 to name it Dale Brown Court. Now, Mary Warner, who was on the Board of Supervisors that day, she said that she felt Sue Gunner was being slighted, that they had similar records, and that Sue was being slighted and whatnot. Talking to somebody at LSU, I've been told that they skipped 4 steps in naming it Dale Brown Court. Tim Brando and company said they went in front of the proper channels, and they did get it in front of the board. And if somebody had a problem with it, then they need to stop that thing before it gets to the altar, before they step in front of a sold-out crowd at the PMAC. And by the way, somebody said that I mentioned it was a sold-out crowd because of Dale Brown. No, I'm just saying that there was a packed house. You bring him out there, you have the ceremony, you do it, and then a year later, oh, by the way, we're going to change it. So I don't think that since they've named it Dale Brown Court, it has really resonated with fans. And I wrote that in an article. I mean, how many times during a broadcast have you heard the broadcasters say, mention Dale Brown Court? How many times when you've read an article, whether it's The Advocate or ESPN.com, LSUsports.net, has Dale Brown Court been referenced? I would say not a ton. And so I'm not sure how many people really care about this, to be honest with you. I said that Dale Brown's legacy and Sue Gunner's legacy is secure with me. It's unchanged with me, no matter what they do with this. And I don't know the difference between Dale Brown's banner hanging from the rafters with all his accomplishments, Sue Gunner's banner hanging from the rafters with all her accomplishments, and their names being on the floor. My eyes go to the floor, my eyes go up. I'm not sure what the big difference is in that. Obviously, a court named after somebody is a bigger deal. Okay, it's named after. But to me, if it's not obvious, you don't do it. Coach K, it's obvious. Bobby Knight, all his personality problems and his coaching. I mean, if Indiana named the court after him, that's understandable. I was flipping channels. I saw Arizona the other day. Lute Olson Court. That's a no-brainer. Okay, there's a lot of no-brainers. Pat Summitt, at Tennessee. That all. In this case, Dale Brown had a tremendous career at LSU. Went to 2 Final Fours, 2 Elite Eights, went to the NCAA tournament 10 straight times, I believe, at a quote-unquote football school. He was without a doubt a superstar. He was nationally known. Did he stay too long? Yes. He stayed his last 4 seasons. They had losing seasons. His first, I think, 4 or 5 years when he was trying to make LSU basketball relevant weren't great either. So his all-time winning percentage is 59%. Kim Mulkey, I think, is at 86, okay, to compare it. So, and honestly, I loved covering Sue Gunner. I covered her briefly for 2 or 3 seasons. She was always very nice. She was one of those people that when she addressed you, she always said your name. You'd ask a question. Well, Jacques, blah, 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 or John or James, she would address you by your first name. It's a small thing, but it makes you feel good. And anybody that played for Sue Gunner said that, they'd run through a wall for her. And unlike Dale Brown, she got zero support. Okay. The ADs back then, they turned their nose up at women's athletics. They were basically, you're lucky to be here. Don't complain, don't gripe. And she mostly played in front of empty arenas. That there's the old story about the dropping the curtain on one side of the PMAC. They would literally cover up an entire side of the PMAC, say, hey, everyone go sit over here to make it look like we've got some people here. Okay. So anybody that says, well, Sue Gunner didn't win a national championship, nobody was going to win a national championship coaching LSU women's basketball back then. And it was in the heyday of Pat Summitt. I'm rambling here. I will tie this up. I don't think anyone ever would have said, we're going to name the court Sue Gunner Court. I don't think that discussion was ever there. I think it was after the fact that, oh, wait, they named it after Dale Brown. oh, it's a tack-on deal. Okay, we're going to now tack on Sue Gunner's name with it. Once again, there were a lot of Sue players who said she would not have gone along with this, that she would have been embarrassed by it. She would have probably said, kiss my you-know-what. I don't want my name on the court if it's going to mean disrespecting Dale Brown a year after they put his name on the court. So it's messy. It's unfortunate. And then, at the end of the day, what does it mean when we're all dead and gone? Is it still going to be there? I doubt it. When we're all dead and gone and somebody's up in the stands with their son and they say, Daddy, who's Dale Brown or who's Sue Gunner? That keeps it alive. But all in all, a lot of nasty name calling online. And then it started a comparison between Sue Gunner and Dale Brown, which caused people to say negative things about both of them. And that was all unfortunate. So I really don't care about the topic, and to the big extent, and I'm not sure how many people out there care about it as well, but here we are. Both names are going to go on the court. I'm not sure when they're going to do that. LSU women have 2 games left. Obviously, it's not going to be Thursday, I don't think, against Ole Miss, but they do have a big regular season finale, I think, does LSU at home against Mississippi State on a Sunday afternoon. That will be a prime spot to perhaps say, okay, here's Sue Gunner Court in front of what would be, I would imagine, a packed house.
Yeah, and I guess in 10 years, it'll be Kim Mulkey Court after she wins 3 national titles.
Yeah. And this is kind of a reflection of the times. When I was growing up, like, I never thought of things getting named after people, and certainly not statues. This whole statue thing has become a reflection of the modern times. And people are like, when's the Joe Burrow statue going up? I'm like, man, when I was growing up, statues were like for people that had died like hundreds of years ago, or, presidents or whatnot. I wasn't thinking about, in the 1994, when are they going to put a statue up for Shaquille O'Neal or whoever my childhood heroes were? But, Burrow obviously is going to deserves one, and it'll happen. Maybe let's just wait till he turns 35 or something. I'm not sure.
So I do agree with that. I think it is just something for people to get mad about. And honestly, if I'm Dale Brown right now, I'm just like, forget it. Put her name on the court and let's just move on. But you got to agree that the statue should be in the front of the PMAC, correct? I don't think there's anybody that disagrees, right? Like those statues where they're at now, the Shaq statue, and the remaining ones of Simone Augustus, like nobody sees them because not nobody, but don't you think they'd be better on, near the ramps, where more people would access the PMAC?
I've heard that discussion. Certainly during football season, right? When the team goes down the hill, everyone's gathered for the Tiger Walk. They're all over there. I don't know if they like it when they bring recruits into the practice facility and those things are standing there. I always walk in front of it when I go to the media entrance in the back. But, yeah, I would agree that there's more traffic coming in from the Tiger Stadium side of the PMAC. So I have heard that discussion before. I think everyone that's gotten a statue so far deserves it. Bob Pettit, Shaq, Pistol Pete, and Simone Augustus. And to Kim Mulkey's credit, I don't think anyone really ever discussed, a woman's going to get a statue. It's just, that's only for the men. And so she's changed that narrative in a short period of time. And I would think Sylvia Fowles deserves one and should get one eventually as well.
Keeping with basketball. So you traveled up to South Carolina to cover the LSU women's team this past weekend. Wasn't pretty. It was the matchup between number 1 and number 3. You wouldn't have thought that there would have been that big of a disparity. I guess what are your thoughts on that game and where this women's team is heading into the postseason?
Yeah, I wasn't shocked by it. I think, talking to Kim Mulkey on the record, off the record, she knew it was going to be a very, very tall task for LSU to beat South Carolina. And that's not a negative on LSU. Kim Mulkey's in her 2nd year at LSU. Dawn Staley's in her 14th year at South Carolina. She's built that thing up to a power. Kim Mulkey does have the benefit of the transfer portal and NIL, things that Dawn Staley did not have early in her career, obviously. But LSU to even be in that spot is a minor miracle, considering that they were, 9-13 the season before Coach Mulkey got here. And LSU didn't drop much in the polls at all, which is a reflection of how good South Carolina is. LSU lost by 24 points or whatever, and they dropped 2 spots in one poll and 3 spots 2 spots in both polls. They're number 4, number 5, I think. And so is LSU a top 5 team? Maybe not. Maybe they're more of a top 10. I'm not sure. It's still a bit of a mystery with this team. Bob Starkey, LSU assistant coach, before the game, he told me, he said, nothing bad is going to happen with LSU basketball today. We're either going to win or we're going to find out where we're at. We need to play this game and just see where we are. In South Carolina, the crowd was an amazing crowd. I mean, packed, on fire. South Carolina from the opening tip. I mean, Coach Mulkey said, we lined up incorrectly on the opening tip. I mean, South Carolina scored 3 seconds into the game. They led for all but 3 seconds of the entire game, and they just came out razor sharp. They couldn't miss. Outside, driving to the hoop, crowds on fire. LSU, to their credit, it's only a 10-point game at halftime. It was a 5-point game in the third quarter. But then I would compare Camila Cordasio, the 6'7" young lady, the sophomore for South Carolina. She was like Derrick Henry pounding LSU in Bryant-Denny Stadium in 2015, or Devon Achane for A&M this past year in College Station, just in the fourth quarter, just wearing you out, where you're like, okay, I've had enough. And she really was just catching the ball on the inside and having her way. And that was something that LSU talked to me about before the game. It's like, okay, our starting 5 and their starting 5, all right, but then we're bringing this person in off the bench. They're bringing that person in off the bench. And so they really got 2 starting 5s. So Kim Mulkey, after the game, was very adamant. I think she said it 3 times. It's South Carolina, and it's everyone else. It's South Carolina, it's everyone else. And so, look, next year, South Carolina loses 6 out of their top 10 scorers. LSU will lose 3 of their starters, including Alexis Morris, who was the only person that really showed up in this game. But then LSU's got the number 1 recruiting class coming in. So what is it going to be like next year? I don't know. But this year's not over. They could meet 2 more times. They could meet in the SEC tournament, and they could meet in the NCAA tournament, perhaps at the Final Four. I'm not sure. But obviously South Carolina is going to be the favorite to win the national championship. They've played some tough games. They've played UConn. They've played Stanford. Those were closer games than this one. But LSU still, I mean, only 1 loss the entire year. Kim Mulkey, 49-7 since she took over. This team could easily go to the Elite 8 or perhaps the Final Four. So it's going to be an exciting March coming up.
Yeah, to switch over to men's, it's obviously been a very disappointing kind of stretch here the last, 13 games. And do you see a way back for them next year to be competitive? I mean, the only way I see it is if they go out and get multiple good elite players in the transfer portal, because the SEC is just so deep now with the coaches.
I was at the Citrus Bowl getting ready for LSU and Purdue, watching the SEC opener against Arkansas, and they win that game. And everyone's fired up, and it's like, man, this Coach McMahon, he's got, mid-level players, mid-major players going up against SEC talent. Look how he's coaching them up. Even the second game, they go to Kentucky, which is always a tough place to play, and it's a close game.
Yep.
But I think the overall opinion, unfortunately, on Coach has kind of dropped off a bit since then. I mean, I got to be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of the games recently. I get the highlights in, and yesterday I was off. I didn't watch it. I saw the last play at the end where they threw the inbound away and all that. And I know they were in the game, and you just want to see those guys win. There's some things about it that kind of make me scratch my head, like the whole Juice Williams leaves the team for personal reasons.
Then he comes back. Yeah.
Then he comes back. I was talking to the coach about that. I mean, from what I understand, that was just a dressed up way of saying I quit. Personal reasons. And so you kind of set a bad precedent when you let a player quit and you take him back, although desperate times, desperate measures. They obviously don't have last year's roster. I think the big question is, how will Matt McMahon attack this in the offseason? I mean, if you look at their roster right now, KJ Williams is your best player, and he's out. So how many of these guys can really help you next year? And how many can you bring in? How many people want to play here? And, oh, by the way, you still got this NCAA thing looming over your head, in which opposing coaches are going to recruit against you. Well, why do you want to go to LSU? They may be ineligible for the NCAA tournament. And so until the NCAA says, okay, these are the sanctions, then you really don't even get like a true starting point until that happens. And so this has been going on for 4 years, basically. It's been 4 years since we were sitting at L'Auberge Casino, and Will Wade was talking to the fans, and everyone starts looking at their cell phones as this news is breaking like something out of a movie. That was the USA Today, FBI wiretap, Will Wade, strong ass offer, all that stuff. Will Wade gets suspended for 40 days. Everyone's like, he's not coming back. There's no way he's coming back. He's going to be fired. And somehow he comes back. It was a minor miracle, to be honest with you. And then he coaches for an additional 2 or 3 seasons before he's finally fired at the end of last year. So certainly Will Wade's time at LSU, there were very good teams. Basically, he coached 4 teams that were NCAA worthy. The first time he's suspended. That's when they go to the Sweet 16. They beat Yale and Maryland. They lose to Michigan State. The second time around was COVID. They were going to be in, but there's no tournament, so no team. And then his last year, he's fired before the tournament. And then once again, an interim coach way in over his head, and they lose in the first round. So I'm rambling on and on, but I don't know what the future is. And certainly this year, the sprinkling of fans that continue to go. I think did they play South Carolina Saturday? Is this their best chance to win a game?
Yep. Yeah.
So
it's been rough. They have trouble scoring, and it's I don't know how he keeps the team morale up, because it's tough to watch, and it's just it's not.
I mean, this is unprecedented stuff.
Yes.
Like even Johnny Jones's last year, which they were 2-16 in the SEC, they weren't losing at halftime 41-14.
Yeah, they had some scores and some guys that could were somewhat exciting, but it really is tough, and I kind of feel bad for Matt McMahon. I mean, just hopefully we find that what happens soon. Like, what are the sanctions going to be? Hopefully that stuff comes out soon, because like you said, he needs a starting point.
I feel bad for him too, until I picked up the Tiger Rag magazine, the money edition that shows what everyone gets paid, and I saw the 2.6 million, and I was like, well, maybe not, maybe not so much.
Yeah, shoot. That money, it is funny how like they say money doesn't make happiness. That's what my dad always says. He's always like, money doesn't what's going to make you happy, but it makes things a little bit easier, right? Yeah. Like if you're not doing well with that much money, then at least you got something to fall back on. But I think we can describe this time in LSU basketball, kind of like Charles Dickens. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But all right. The reason this podcast is a thing, LSU baseball starting this Friday at the Box. I'm hearing that it's going to be the Ice Box. What is your, I guess, either most bold prediction or take on this year's team that nobody's had yet? If you have one, I'm trying to make it difficult for you. Like, do we need to do it? And I'll give you a couple examples to while you kind of think about it. Do we need to go ahead and we're thinking about getting an RV and going up to Omaha this year, booking, it's not even staying in a hotel, staying in an RV. Is there going to be a player that we're not expecting to go off this year? Just stuff like that, stuff that isn't on your day-to-day news.
Well, I mean, as long as the season is and all that, everyone's saying, okay, they're number one across the board, and Coach Jay Johnson's going to the Rotary Club and speaking, and he's being congratulated on it by the guy introducing him, congratulations, coach. And that's a nice acknowledgement, but it means nothing, right? You haven't played a game yet and everything, and Coach Johnson and company, they're embracing it. They keep using the firefighter analogy. We're running at it. We're not running away from it. I think there will be a losing streak. There will be a time where LSU is going to lose maybe 3 games in a row or something,
and then everybody freaks out.
Yeah. You play too many games. It's too long. It's too much of an, guy will get hot and he'll be 8 for 11 from the plate, and then he'll go 1 for 21. That's how baseball works. And then they'll have the 2009 team, which was better. They knew it. Blake Dean goes, we knew we were better than everybody from the get-go. We knew we were going to beat everybody. But then I think they even lost 2 out of 3 to Illinois early in the year or something like that. That team still lost 17 games, all right, or something like that. Even the 1997 team that just pummeled everybody, it seemed like, they still lost 16, 17 games. So I think that I don't know if it's a brash prediction, but there will be a crisis along the way.
Well, yeah, and I, that was kind of a poor question on my part, and I didn't really set you up well, but I think that's the most important thing to as an LSU fan, starting out number one, the expectation's so high, and to just go ahead and get it out of the way and say, look, there's going to be slumps. It's a 50 some odd game season plus the postseason. And baseball is my dad always says it's just a funny game, and the ball bounces funny some days, and there's going to be a rough stretch of days, not just one bad game. So I think that that I wasn't expecting that. So that
and everyone's going to freak out when Jordan
my-
Thompson makes one error.
Right.
The first error he makes, everyone's going to freak out, take him out, pull him out. But
Could
he's
be
going to
late
make an
in the
error. He
season.
plays shortstop on a college baseball team. So
And if Tommy tanks, I mean, look,
if he strikes out,
yeah, if he hits 15 home runs this year instead of 27 he hit last year or whatever, so he's a flop. These are the kind of things, because I mean, I was at an event the other day, and a real nice. We had a Guns N' Roses tribute show at Varsity, and this guy comes up to me, and a nice guy, great guy. He's all fired up about LSU baseball. He even started an LSU chant, like between Sweet Child of Mine and Paradise City. So and he's like, 14 days till first pitch, man. It's so great. We're back, man. We're back. It's happy about Maneri being gone and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, I said predictions are high. I mean, we'll just see what happens. I mean, Tennessee last year, Ben McDonald's brought it up. They were the best team we've ever seen, and they didn't. Notre Dame comes in and shocks them. So I'm not being Debbie Downer. I mean, I think they definitely, with Trey Morgan back and Dylan Cruz and watching Paul Skeens pitch and also in scrimmages, and also he's going to hit. And this Thatcher Hurd looks really good from UCLA too. The back injury appears to be a thing of the past, hopefully. And all the other players. I mean, you got Braden Joubert, who hit 18 home runs last year. Gavin Dugas hit 19 home runs 2 years ago. Hopefully he's back in that mold, and all sorts of great freshmen and new players. Yeah, but the problem is the SEC is loaded. I mean, there's 6 teams in the top 10, something like that, 7. So, I mean, what's the first 3 SEC series are like Arkansas and State, and the first 3 series are rough, out of the box. So.
Do you think the crowds will be back? I felt like last year, Jay Johnson's first year, he didn't really have that full Alex Box, like packed out crowd where it was loud. Like I think that I'm hoping they'll be back, but it didn't feel the same the last couple of years. I don't know why.
Well, COVID was still kind of
2 years ago, yes, kind of there, but last year just
a COVID hangover.
Yeah, I guess so. But and maybe because people didn't have high expectations or that high of expectations last year, but I'm hoping that the crowds will be full force.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, as you guys alluded to, I mean, I looked at my WAP weather app, and I'm like, it never fails, man. It never fails. Opening night, always. I saw 44 degrees at first pitch, 10-mile-an-hour wind, probably gusting straight in from center. And God bless those LSU fans that sit out there and watch every pitch and don't leave until the end. Like I said, I got the greatest job in the world. I won't complain. But there are some of those Wednesday nights where it's 9:30 at night, and you're in the 5th inning against McNeese, and you're like, okay, can we wrap this thing up?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that certainly with the home schedule, I mean, Tennessee's coming here for a 3-game series. That's going to be
huge. Yeah.
I mean, and we're going to get out of this, we haven't had a cold winter, but this winter has just been like so dreary and gray and blah. I mean, I think everyone's kind of ready for sunshine and longer days and spring and boiled crawfish and all this stuff that makes the spring great. And LSU baseball is right in there with it. And so, yeah, I do think the crowds will definitely be back. And certainly I believe that I don't say demand, but demand that LSU is going to host a regional and not be going to Hattiesburg like they did last year.
Yeah, I think we were literally planning on we like to tailgate. I think you might have stopped by one of them at one point or another. I know you're busy on game days and whatnot, but I think last year LSU didn't have a Saturday night game in Alex Box. And we were like, all right, well, we'll just take care of it in the regional. They got to have a 6 p.m. game. If LSU hosts a regional at the Box. So I want to ask you this. So obviously you ask a lot of questions. Funny story. Me and Luffy are noobs up there in the press box, and and at the press conferences and whatnot. And I ran into you, and I honestly, like, I want to compliment you on the questions you ask, and like you're always right up in there. Do you find it more difficult than others? I guess dealing with different coaches and asking them different questions, and do you ever have trouble like trying to I guess ask questions to them in a way that's gonna get the best out of them? I guess I'm not good at asking questions, but
Well,
I'm interested to hear that.
Well, you learn over the years, like you learn how to approach it, and your tone says a lot. And I guess it's like anything else. You prepare it in your head. If I just go up there and I grab the mic and I haven't thought about how exactly I want to enunciate this, then it's going to be a problem. Back in 2010, when I was a lot younger and a lot dumber, I guess. The 2010 Tennessee game, the debacle at the end where T-Bob snapped the ball, and there was just a lot of anger towards Les Miles because basically they had the clock debacle at the end of 2009 at Ole Miss with Jordan Jefferson and all that, and same thing, Jefferson again, Tennessee. And that Monday press conference, I got the mic and I just like rambled at him like, Coach, I don't know how to say this, but there's a disconnect between you and the fan base. The only reason you won that game was because of blind luck, and you're all happy and fans are upset. And I just kind of like went off, and that is not the way to do it. Okay. So you can't be the angry guy at the bar, but my approach has always been there's 100,000 or whatever it is in the stadium, and there's millions others watching and tailgating or whatever that have questions. And my job, I'm there, they're not. My job is to ask the questions that a lot of people are thinking. And there's a way to do that without, coming across as rude. Coach, what was the thinking on going forward on 4th and 2 instead of kicking the field goal? Or, whatever the case may be, there's a gentle way maybe to bring it up. Now, he knows what I'm getting at. He knows I'm going to ask that. I mean, and there's times where you debate it. Okay. Everyone knows that before the Citrus Bowl, there was this rumor going around about LSU assistant coaches and some really kind of smutty stuff. And it's going through, okay, it's like this is all going around, but when do you feel like there's enough credence to ask something like that? Or is it just like, you dummy, so you read something on a message board and you ask about it? That's not professional. And so but certainly I was thinking about asking it. And Wilson Alexander from The Advocate, he jumped on the grenade for all of us in the post game. And he did a very good job asking the question, are all your coaches in good standing with you moving forward? That addresses it without saying, hey, have you read what the rumor about all that? And so, but then there's and there's people like, did you read the news today? Like on this, I'm like, anybody can get on their phone and draw up a graphic or something. There's an old saying, the bigger the lie, the more likely people are to believe it, and pass it around and call it news when there's until there's, to ask about there's credence or whatever. And then there's also the fine line of what is newsworthy and what is not when it comes to people's personal lives. And, they're a public figure, so that deserves to be out, or, that has nothing to do with wins and losses. Don't report that. And so, but most of the time it comes down to game decisions and whatnot. And I think that it's fair to ask those questions. These coaches are being paid a lot of money, as we talked about. And so, I mean, it's funny how that goes. You'll have 5 people come up to you and say, man, I'm so glad you asked that question. And there'll be 5 others that say, why did you ask that question? That was a stupid question, And so It's in the eye of the beholder. I try to do my best job to say, okay, these are the things fans are talking about. Ask about X, Y, Z.
So I mean, I just saw that clip of the Tulane coach, I believe, when they got blown out, and the coach at like the reporter basically said, "Are you embarrassed by this?" And he just turned and looked and said, "What a stupid question." And I think that's what keeps me from raising my hand and asking a question sometime. I need to take in a little bit more and try to. I think that's a good thought to think before you talk. I wish a lot more people would do that, not just in sports.
I think the key is: are you asking a question because you feel like it's pertinent to your story and what Or are you just looking to, go viral and get 3 million views because you got the coach fired up and pissed off?
Right.
There's a difference between those two. Now sometimes the viral moment will come even when you feel like, you're asking. And that shouldn't be a goal to go viral. Like I hear more and more people say, oh, you went viral, that's great. Or you might go viral. Okay. If my work is good and it goes viral, I'm happy with it. But if it's not good and I don't feel good about it, and it goes viral, or if it's just a cheap, underhanded deal, then no, that's not what you want.
How have your interactions been, or interactions asking questions with Brian Kelly compared to what you thought before?
He's been great. I mean, I went to the Music City Bowl when LSU played them in Nashville. I went to the Citrus Bowl when LSU played them in 17. And I walked away from those press conferences saying, we ain't using much of this. This guy is he's a grouch, and just kind of came off a bit like a curmudgeon, to be honest with you, just a Yankee that wasn't too friendly and too warm, but I'm sure they worked with him a bit. Maybe they coached him up and said, hey, we're going to the South. Let's try to make you a little more warm and fuzzy, a little more approachable, a little more personable. I feel like that when I ask him a question, he gives a well thought out answer. He'll, like, if you see him somewhere, he'll small chat with you and be friendly. He's given us more media access and practice than any coach I've ever covered, from Saban, Miles, Ogeron. I mean, the fact that he let us go to an entire practice on several occasions and watch the whole thing, that's unheard of. And so I really appreciated that. I told him that one day. I said, man, I got more good B-roll in 10 minutes today than I got in the previous 10 years combined of, the same old quarterback handing off to a wide receiver against air, guy hitting a sled, throwing a pass to an unguarded receiver. I mean, we actually saw people competing, a cornerback, a corner, and a wide receiver going up for a ball and fighting for it and things like that. I'm like, this is good stuff. So after 1 year covering him, it's been much better than I expected. And I would say the same thing for Kim Mulkey too. When they hired Kim Mulkey, I knew LSU was going to win. I mean, her track record, there's no way this was not going to work. But I also heard, like, from some sportscasters in Texas, oh, she's going to watch your sportscast. And if you put her lower in the show than what she thinks she's going to let she's going to wear you out. That's what I heard. She's going to wear you out. And she's been amazing. She's been approachable and friendly and in a press conference, she might like snap back and kind of jab with you a little bit, but it's all in fun. She's 100% real. Like the other day, the second I said it, I knew I shouldn't have said it. I said, well, Coach, it was a war out there tonight. And she's like, well, Jack, no, it's not a war. Okay. A war is out there. I'm like, I know, Coach, I have a charity called Red, Rock, and Blue. We give tens of thousands to military every year. I got it. But yeah, so, but she's been great. So I think both of them, and Jay Johnson, he's just kind of steady Eddie,
Yep.
He hadn't really, I guess he got irritated a few times, kind of, but he hasn't like blown up or gone off. He's just kind of win or lose. He's just kind of like that. So.
Yeah, I knew Kim Mulkey was going to be great whenever, and you might have even gotten the pictures or somebody else in the media, but I knew Kim Mulkey was going to be great when she picked Paul Maneri up off his feet at the airport that day. But Jacques, this has been great having you on. Tell us what are the dates for Red, Rock, and Blue? Tell us what's going on with that coming up.
Well, the latest news is that we've announced a big concert on August the 19th at the Varsity. Multi-platinum musical artist Vertical Horizon is coming to town. How old are you guys?
26.
26, yep.
Y'all both 26. Okay. These guys hit it huge when you were 3 years old. They had the number one played song in the year 2000. They had a number one hit called Everything You Want. They had two huge follow-up hits and some other hits that charted on the rock charts. They are coming to the Varsity, and that'll be August the 19th. Our tickets go on sale for that actually Friday. We've got another concert July the 8th at the Varsity. It's going to be a catery reunion. There used to be a place called the Catery, which was a very popular music venue in town that eventually burned down, unfortunately, in around 2008, I think, 2009. So it's going to be a group of bands that used to play there. They're going to play July 8th. And then July 21st, we're going to have a country show with Chase Tyler and some people. And then our softball tournament that anybody can enter a team is July 28th through the 30th at Oak Villa. And we'll start registration for that in March. So those are the big things. I'm taking sponsors right now. We've had a lot of great sponsors come aboard already. I'd love to have you sponsor Red Rock and Blue. I'm easy to find. Look me up, contact me. I'd love to make your company a part of Red Rock and Blue this year. So that's what's going on with that. We just donated $50,000 this past year to Louisiana military charities. We wrote a $36,000 check to Blue Star Mothers of Louisiana. We wrote I believe a $10,000 check to Wounded War Heroes. That's not the Wounded Warrior Project that kind of got some bad press. This is local. And we gave $2,000 here and there to some other charity organizations. So we just gave about $50,000 away. So we're not a huge organization. We're a blue collar. We've worked hard to earn what we earn. We don't do like, big balls and galas and stuff with tuxedos and all that stuff. I mean, we're selling waters and Cokes and hot dogs and nachos to get this money. But, we're proud of our efforts and appreciate you letting me talk about it. RedRockandBlue.com is our website.
Awesome. Great to hear that, Jock. You're always gracious with your time. Like we said, you're one of the few guests on the Out of the Box podcast that's been on 3 times.
Wow.
So
am I like the Steve Martin or the Saturday Night Live? Who's been on? Right. Eddie Murphy.
Right. Yeah. You're on the. I mean, we can say you're on the Mount Rushmore of Out of the Box podcast guest. So yeah. So thank you so much for your time, and I am going to hit you up for a baseball tailgate. This year before the game, you can come stop by and we'll talk some ball.
The problem is I'm going to have 1 beer and that's going to turn into 4. And then my shooting's going to be a little shaky that day, as well as my reporting. But no, I'd love to come by and see you. I see an acoustic guitar back there. What's that all about? Who plays that?
Neither of us. One of our roommate does. Our roommate.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Well, yeah, I enjoyed it, man. Anytime you need me to stop by, I'd be happy to. So
thank you, Jacques.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. We want to thank Jacques Doucet for coming on the Out of the Box podcast. The dude is always so gracious with his time. And Lovey, I've told you this before. It's so easy whenever we have him as a guest on the show because he's just so well-spoken and so knowledgeable about LSU sports and whatnot that it's just so like it makes it easy on us. Like I can sit up here and ask just crappy questions and he can actually form a good answer and have some stats to back it up. So
I wanted to ask him if he was a Mardi Gras fan. I was gonna guess no, but
he's probably just been down there once or twice.
Yeah, because he's always got to be here with baseball.
Told him to
always like being that opening weekend. It's like almost.
Yeah, we figured out how we're gonna watch the baseball game on the float on Sunday.
That's right. We're streaming on my iPhone.
Shout out. Now I think it's time for the announcement. Yeah. Rory, Luffy, and I, the newcomer, are riding in the Toth Parade this weekend. Float 12B. Got a bunch of familiar faces on there. I believe I'm on the neutral ground side, and you and Rory are on the street side. Yes. I believe. If you're looking at the float,
we're on the passenger side.
If you're looking at the float, I would be on the driver's side on the bottom.
Yep. And Rory and I are passenger side up top. So we got both sides covered. We're all the way towards the back of the float. Me and Rory are up top.
Yeah, I am as well. Yep. So if you're out at Mardi Gras this weekend, you won't be able to tell it's me, I guess, unless I see you because we're gonna be like the mask.
Just make yourself seen.
Right. Yes. Be loud. And we'll, like I said, this is my first time riding. I couldn't be more pumped about it.
It's gonna be really fun.
And you're probably gonna have to
clean up the streets.
Well, you're gonna have to clean me up after
we'll call
Sunday.
Martine at Workbox to clean you up. If you need a portable restroom rental, a roll-off dumpster, porta potty, storage container, portable office, call Martine at Workbox. They have the cleanest porta potties in the business by far. If you need a storage container, anything that you need to redo a house, you're going to need a roll-off dumpster, call Workbox LLC. It's 225-343-4886. Call Martine at Workbox if you need storage container, roll-off dumpster, luxury restroom rental, porta potty. Call Martine at Workbox. It's 225-343-4886.
All right, LSU baseball this Friday night.
Season prediction here.
We've pretty much broken it down, all the positions,
Yeah.
all the players. The one bit of news that we have to talk about is Grant Taylor out for the season. He was going to be one of the guys this year, like one of our core guys on the pitching staff. He goes down. It's next man up. Unfortunately, the pitching staff has it's got some depth, but it's also got a lot of guys that need to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And I do fully believe that somebody's going to step up and it's going to be the next man up show as far as that goes. But tough break, like a week before the season, the dude goes down. I mean, it's like, you hate to see that for a guy, especially a veteran guy who's been on the team and worn the jersey for multiple years. So
yeah, it's brutal. I mean, he had a really good summer and a really good fall by all accounts. It's just sad we've had a decent amount of injuries. A lot of people I think are advocating for an earlier start to practice. They were saying that they're ramping them up too fast, not LSU, but like NCAA rules, or SEC, I guess, rules. Because they've had, I think, 3 or 4 SEC pitchers already go down. So that sucks.
There is a run rule now, though.
Yeah, there is a run rule, which is, I think, dumb. But
yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that. But but they do it in the tournament. It'll give guys some rest. Hopefully, it will save a couple of those late game injuries. I don't know. I mean, like they asked Jay Johnson about it the other day, and he's like, I don't really. Like, there's nothing I can do about it, so let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
So we open the season Friday night, Eastern Michigan, Mardi Gras weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, like Beloso, like Chris Reed, like Jock said, like it's gonna be like, oh, okay, wow, LSU's really kicking ass, and then SEC play starts, and like Jock said, there's gonna be some stretches. But I guess the thing that we need to figure out is when those stretches will be and how to not make them last, right? I think you cannot get swept. You cannot get swept. That is the worst possible thing you could do, in college baseball, especially leading into a week. The problem is I don't want to, because if you get swept, then you go into the midweek and then you're losing a game that does or doesn't matter, depending on who you ask, a midweek game. So all I want to know, Luffy, is where do you see this team ending up at the end of the season when it's all said and done, when the dust settles after SEC play? I believe they play exactly 30 SEC games. Like we said, we got Tennessee at home the first couple weeks of the season. We got Arkansas, Mississippi State. I don't think we're not playing Vandy, correct?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so that's a plus. But 7 out of the top 10 in college baseball are SEC schools.
Yeah, really, really tough schedule. That's a good thing, I think. Prepare us for the postseason. I think we're going to sit around like 20-10 at the end of SEC play, and I think to end the year, I think we make it to Omaha, but don't take home the title. Just not a lot of experience on our team of guys who've been there. I don't think anybody's been there unless a transfer has been there, right?
Right.
And another crazy thing?
So
Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan haven't played a postseason baseball game in the box.
Ouch.
Isn't that crazy?
I do believe
that changes this year. We will host a regional. The goal definitely needs to be get that top 8 seed. And if we can do that, I feel pretty good about us making it to Omaha. Got to stay healthy, with Grant Taylor being already going down. So that's going to be a big key as well.
I said Eastern Michigan. We're playing Western
Michigan. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a correction I had. But Okay, so yeah, I think we're gonna drop some series. I think we'll probably get swept once, just out on a fluke.
Sure.
Predicting one sweep. I don't think we get swept at the box against Tennessee. I think Tennessee and Tony Vitello are going to come back hotter than ever this year. It's going to be more of the same from them. But at the same time, I'd almost like to I'd like to see LSU not be number one all year. I know that sounds stupid to say, but I'd like to see us kind of fluctuate and then hit our stride, kind of like what LSU baseball always does towards the end of the year. So we've pretty much done everything but attend the game on Friday night. You and I will be there. We're going to be breaking it down, and we will be following it during Mardi Gras weekend. We hope everybody has a great Mardi Gras weekend. We're going to do a quick segment after I talk about DraftKings and the house bar. Shout out DraftKings. Enter promo code BOOT. Bet just $5 and get $200 if your team wins. 21 plus restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Say that 5 times fast.
See show notes for details. I only got it once.
Okay. Also, shout out to Jeff and Casey at the House Bar in Tigerland. Springtime is for the House Bar in Tigerland. Crawfish beer, best pizza in Tigerland. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at Tigerland House and on Facebook and Instagram at House of Tigerland. Also, houseoftigerland.com. All right. 30-second drill on the Super Bowl, Luffy. Did you win some money?
Yes. We both had the Chiefs, I believe, right?
We did.
Good game, shitty field. Whoever, was in charge of that field, fired, done, field gate. But yes, John and I, sharps as we are, we finished the House Always House Always Wins segment positive for the NFL.
What was our final
Pretty
record?
damn impressive. Let's see. 13-12 there.
So we were 13-12 at
12-12 there. So we were and then we won the Super Bowl. So we'll call it
like 30-15.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's
dominant. Maybe the best ever.
66%. If we're shooting 3-pointers, that's the best ever. Free throws probably could work.
Mahomes possible GOAT.
Work on it.
He has a chance. If he wins 5, is he the GOAT?
I think Andy Reid's. I think he needs Andy Reid to stay around. It's kind of like it's similar to. I think he can win without him. I'm just saying, just like in the same way that Tom Brady did. But I think Andy Reid and him are just such a great duo. And I think we kind of said it. Like I think the Chiefs, we're going to go down early. I think I might have even said that last week. That was my thought process. The Chiefs are going to go down early. It's going to be close throughout the whole game, and it's just going to be too little, too late. The punt return, the field, the pass interference, holding call, all goes into it. But at the end of the day, Mahomes did what he had to do to win, and that's what he always does.
He does.
Sucks, no football, but they did make an announcement during the broadcast that we will have football back again in 2 months. Thoughts on the halftime show before we go?
Great.
She's got some bangers.
Not best ever, but great song.
Like, was I thoroughly
the only thing that would have made it better was Jay-Z or Drake coming out in one of their songs, like in one of their features.
Yes. But she did say she was going to bring somebody on stage, and she did. She's not a liar. So that's good. She brought her baby, her future baby. There was a big argument. Surprisingly, Rory in a group text that I'm in, and I hope he listens to this. Rory was like, "There's no way she's pregnant. Like, no way." Like,
because she just had a kid.
Exactly. And that was his argument. But you would think the guy with the kid would know. That.
Sad.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
sad.
Yeah, crazy, right? But I think that about does it for our show. Pumped for Friday night. Find us on Flow 12B. We're gonna be out there in New Orleans Toast Sunday.
Toast Sunday, baby.
Shout out to the House Bar in Tigerland, Workbox LLC, Blaine Louis, Keller Williams, Realty. Also want you to know that Keller Williams is an equal opportunity housing partner, each office independently owned and operated. DraftKings and the Boot Crew Media Network, and Jacques Doucet. Thank you so much. Recurring guest ×3, and Luffy.
Shout out Jacques.
You ready for this weekend?
I am. Big weekend. We're gonna be out in the cold Friday.
This is like a weekend where, like, I just know I'm coming back Monday morning. Found out I have a meeting Monday morning at work at 9 a.m. So I originally had the day off, had to cancel the day off
Good.
because of the meeting. So
I'll be working Monday morning too.
If I honestly, like, I don't say things like this often, but it might feel good for somebody to check on me Monday morning, just to be like, hey,
are you alive?
Are you there? Like, are you there? And if I don't answer, I'm sleeping and I missed the meeting and I probably got fired.
They can't fire him. He's invaluable.